What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Screening Room podcast. I'm your host, Evan, joined as always by my co host, Mike.
How you doing, everybody?
And this week, in lieu of all the recent Harry Potter TV series news, we have decided to review Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or as it's known in the UK, and as you'll see on the video version of this podcast, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Um, yeah, I just thought it was kind of timely. The show trailer just came out, and actually, the day we're recording this, they just announced a documentary about the making of the show, which is coming out this Sunday. If you're watching this week, so keep an eye out for that if you have HBO. But anyway, yeah. So I'll give a little context before we get into our review. Basically, the structure of this episode is going to be me and Mike are going to give our initial thoughts on the film. We're going to get into some trivia that Mike collected for us. I might elaborate a little bit more on like some book comparisons because I am a fan of the books. And then we'll talk a little about the comparisons between the movie and what we've seen thus far from the TV show. And yeah, that'll be about it. Then we'll wrap things up. So, with that all said, I'll let you kick it off with your initial thoughts on the film.
All right, thank you so much. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good film. I I would say I'm more of a casual fan of the series, but overall, I was pleasantly surprised rewatching it. It had been a while since I rewatched any of these films, but I did like it overall. I will say my one critique, if like for the film, is I wish the pacing was done a little bit better. I felt like if they just maybe cut out like 20, 30 minutes of the film, like just hearing little snippets in different chunks of the film. I felt like it could have been a little bit of a tighter story. Like they were just like, especially at the beginning, it really kind of, and I appreciate the fact it took its time, but I think it might have taken a little bit too much time getting to Hogwarts and getting to the magic. Um, but overall, I can't really complain. I liked the effects in this were great. I really liked the set design, particularly Diagon Alley. That was such a great scene. And honestly, like the performances in this film are amazing. You got obviously the main child actors with Daniel Radcliffe's version of Harry Potter being the absolute staple of this film. And another good performance I actually like too was Robbie Caltrone as Hagrid. He was great in this. Then you got the acting greats like Maggie Smith and Alan Rickman. They did an absolutely fantastic job with their roles. So
Richard
overall, I thought this
Harris,
was a really
too.
good movie. Yes. Oh, that's absolutely right. Yes. He wasn't in it as much for the film, but the parts he was in, it was absolutely a stellar performance from his part.
Yeah, it's a
But
shame that he
yeah, I
didn't
thought
get
it was
to
a
do
great.
the rest of the series because he only got to do the first two films before he passed. It really makes you wonder because obviously,
Yeah.
starting with the third, he was replaced by Michael Gambon, who still, like to his credit, did an amazing job. But yeah, I love
Yeah.
Richard
Absolutely.
Harris. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to speak for my boy Richard.
No, no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good film. Like I said, other than the pacing, I felt like this was a great introduction to the Harry Potter saga. It kind of reminded me of like the overtones of like an episode 4 of like Star Wars or like
Hmm.
Percy Jackson, the first series of that, where it's really building the mythology of the world, and getting it set up so you know what to expect for the rest of the series. So I appreciated that, but I honestly felt it tried to do something unique with the show, not the show, the movie, and I appreciated what they tried to do with it.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of context, I have been before I give my review, just in case there's any lingering bias, I just want to put this out there. I've been a fan of Harry Potter since I was probably about nine years old. Um, my kind of backstory is I watched the first movie, this movie that we're talking about today, with my friend Edward. Shout out if you're watching this, by the way. We had a sleepover at his house. I had no idea what Harry Potter was, but we just decided to watch the first one. He had been a fan for a little bit, but we watched the movie, and then I went home to tell my mom about it. I was like, "Oh yeah, we watched this really cool movie." Now my mom, I didn't know this at the time, but she was a huge Harry Potter fan. She read all the books as like they came out, and she's like, "Oh, well, you gotta listen to the books." And as a kid, I struggled. I couldn't read like that, so we ended up going to the library and we rented the audiobooks on CD. This was back when cars had CD players. Um, so every time we like drove, we would drove around, wherever to or from school, errands, whatever. We would listen to the books, and then whenever we finished a book, we'd watch the corresponding movie and so on. So that was kind of like my experience. I've watched them almost annually since. I have all 7 audiobooks on my phone now at all times. Every once in a while, I'll give them a listen. Um, yeah, I love them. Just recently, I actually took my mom. We saw the Harry Potter stage play Cursed Child on Broadway with Tom Felton reprising his role as Draco Malfoy. That was super cool to see. Anyway, I'm rambling. I just wanted to put that out there in case there's some bias in what I'm about to say. But yeah, no, to your point, it definitely is kind of like a new hope, in the sense that there is a lot of world building. I guess to your point of it being to being kind of like slow, I guess that would be my like kind of, I don't know, counter argument is the right word, but like I guess my justification for it, like because they have to establish like the world obviously and all the, I don't know if rules is the correct term, but like the rules of like how magic works, yada yada. Because if you go through the later films, it's definitely more like to the point. I would say, especially with like the third one on, um,
Yeah.
they, cause I feel like they just kind of have to take their time and explain it. Um, and I think they did a good job with that. Obviously, I think the books did a better job. That's why, because they're longer. The first audiobook, I believe, is like
Yeah.
8 hours long. That's why I'm really excited for the show. But anyway, yeah. And also to your point of the acting, I mean, obviously, the child actors, they did the best they could. There's a charm to it.
Oh no,
Um,
they were great. They were
yeah,
great.
yeah. Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, all did great. And like you said, the older actors, they did great too. I think they made a really smart decision in like getting like top tier talent for the adults to kind of like balance out the unknown child actors. I think that was a good job, but yeah, I mean they were all great. Maggie Smith, Alan Rickman, Richard Harris, Robbie Coltrane. I know I'm probably forgetting some other acting legends in there, but I mean they're all just amazing. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like they did a good job adapting the story. I mean, obviously you can only do so much in a 2.5 hour long movie. And this is the theatrical
Yeah.
cut. There's actually an extended version that's slightly longer. But yeah, no, I mean, again, I might be a little biased, but I just think that there's no pun intended, but like a kind of magic behind it that it's very much like a cozy watch for me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. It's definitely got like more of a whimsical vibe. I feel like at least the first two in particular really sell the idea of the magic of Hogwarts, where versus like later on, like with Deathly Hallows Part One and Two, they're more tonally serious movies compared to like the lighter hearted first two.
but yeah. I mean, you even see that with the color grading. Like they
Oh
gradually
yeah.
get darker, which I think is a really cool touch. Part of that too is the first two
Yeah.
movies were shot on 35 millimeter film, which is notoriously harder to get darker scenes. It's not impossible, obviously, but it's harder to get darker scenes. And then with the third one on, they started switching to digital cameras, so they were able to get like a darker color palette. But I think it works symbolically because even in the books, they get like darker and darker. So I think having a visual representation of that is really cool. But considering this is the first outing, I think having everything a little more vibrant, I think it adds to like that coziness. There are still obviously stakes in this, but you know, I I don't know. I think it's a very like cozy movie. It's actually the movie I watched on my first night off at college, my freshman year. That was what I watched. I thought that was kind of fitting. But anyway, did you have any other last minute comments you wanted to give out before we get into our little trivia section?
No, honestly, I feel like I do feel like for me, my thing is with the films. I'm more of like a casual fan in the Harry Potter series, where I was first introduced to the show, the movies, was through my grandmother. She would have them on all the time as a kid, and I remember watching those with her. So shout out if you're listening. Um, but overall, I just think honestly, the only thing holding it back for me is just the pacing at parts. But like you've said too, it is like establishing the world so that way you can get it all set up, so that way you can go right into the next movies. So otherwise, I think it's a great film.
Because I remember we were talking about this last night. I didn't you say that like you thought it started picking up after like the troll scene? Was that
Yeah,
am I right?
right around. Yeah, it was right around the first Quidditch game when it finally picked up for me. And I just felt like that's when the actual, I don't want to say the stakes, but the central story of it started to finally kick in with them, exploring what the Sorcerer's Stone is in the movie, and like the central plot point for that. Like when I say like the pacing of it, I just feel like they could have shortened some things down. Like maybe like with the letter scene at the Dursleys' place, maybe they could have shortened that down instead of it being like 10 like about 10 minutes for them like trying to like get rid of all the letters. Maybe it could have been a quick 5-minute thing where they're trying to throw out all the letters and they keep getting them, and then it smash cuts to them on the island hiding. Or it could have been something else where maybe Hagrid goes to the door after like a week. But obviously, you want to keep it to as much of the book as possible.
I was gonna say
And it's just tough with the theatrical runtime. So I completely get why they kept it that way. And as someone who hasn't read the books, I don't know what they have already cut out.
that's what I was just about to say. I'm curious, like, if you decide to watch the show when it comes out, and assuming they adapt it properly, in the books, when Harry's getting his letters, it starts with the house, like they get it at the house. That's pretty accurate. But then before they go to the cabin, they go to like a random motel, and the
Ooh.
like the front desk, whoever's running the front desk is like, yeah, I got about 100 letters for Mr. H. Potter, and then they go to the cabin. The cabin was kind of like
Okay,
the third and
okay.
last resort, so they actually cut that like middle like hotel scene out, which
Oh wow, okay.
I would assume that would be in the show. I don't know why they would cut that, but
Yeah.
yeah, no,
I feel like the show,
oh
sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say like my point was it's like even that whole sequence is even longer in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Totally fair. Again, it's very subjective, and like I said, I'm biased. I love all the deep lore. I love listening to the books. So I kind of like when that's all included. So maybe like I'm just kind of oblivious to it because I don't know. For me, I just like being in that world for as long as possible. That's why like even in the books you get more of you obviously get more of his home life with the Dursleys, but you even get more comments about Harry's time, like in Muggle school, for example, which it looks like we are getting in the show based on the
Oh,
trailer.
okay.
Um,
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, at the very beginning.
yeah, so like, I guess my point is like that whole bit before Hagrid shows up on the cabin is like, I think you'd be shocked at like how much of the book is before Harry even gets like before Harry even finds out that he's a wizard. So I think actually they cut out quite a bit and shortened it
Yeah.
up. But anyway, that's just me kind of rambling. But no, totally fair. Um, I guess if it's all good with you, do you want to segue into the what you call it, the fun facts.
Yeah, absolutely. And beforehand, I just wanted to reiterate the budget and the box office for the film.
Okay.
So the budget for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was about $125 million, with a box office of over $1 billion, and it had a $90 million opening weekend,
Yeah, it's safe to say they
putting
made
it
their money back. Yeah.
oh, definitely, putting it up at one of the most profitable movies at the time, with Titanic a couple of years before.
Yeah, this was 2001 for those of you listening at home. So just what Titanic was set 97, was it? Am I
Yeah,
thinking?
97.
Yeah, so just
Yep,
4 years
97.
later. That's crazy.
Yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, I'm ready for the trivia whenever you are.
oh yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Let me just preface: Mike is the one who got all the trivia that he's about to list off, just to give credit where credit is due. But anyway, continue, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, so the first point I found out was that throughout the film, all the child actors on the Hogwarts set, like while they were recording, were doing their own school work from real life. The director of the film wanted to try to have them do that so it seemed more realistic while watching the movie.
Mm.
And then another fun fact about the actual Hogwarts set. So the Hogwarts motto that was put all over the set, I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try my best. Draco Dormes Unatum Totalis translates to never tickle a sleeping dragon. I just thought that one was funny.
That's pretty
And
funny.
then yeah, and throughout the Harry Potter series, Daniel Radcliffe had worn about 160 pairs of glasses throughout the entire saga.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, I was surprised at the amount. And then Three Owls had played Harry's pet owl Hedwig, with Gizmo being the main one, then Ook and Sprout being the runner-ups. And then another fun fact I found was that the Quidditch trophy with Harry Potter's father's name on also included the name R.J.H. King, which is a nod to the supervising art director of the film, named John King.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, yeah. And then my last little bit of trivia was J.K. Rowling had handpicked a few of the roles for the film, including Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid, Maggie Smith, Professor McGonagall, and Alan Rickman as Snape. She had also expressed interest in trying to keep this as a mostly all British cast. With one of the people at the time who was actually interested in playing Hagrid was Robin Williams, who
Oh, that's
tried to
right.
talk to the
Yes.
director of the film, but he was unfortunately turned down, just so that way they could try to promote more British actors for the film.
That's interesting. I do have a few facts myself, just off the top of my head. I haven't like gone back and
Absolutely, go
researched
for
these,
it.
so like correct me if I'm wrong in the
Yeah, go
comments.
for it.
But but before I get into that, it is kind of because you're right. It was they were very insistent on keeping it like as British as possible. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're still following that with the new series, but like John Lithgow, who is amazing. I'm sure he's going to be great, but he's playing Dumbledore and he's American. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that they're kind of like straying from that. But I mean, from the set photos we've seen, I think he's going to be awesome. So I'm excited for that. But
Oh yeah.
anyway, yeah, a few facts just off the top of my head. The first day, and again, like I have not researched these, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but if I remember correctly, on the first day of filming in the Great Hall set, they used real candles on like wire attached to the ceiling, but the candles kept like falling and like burning through the wire. So then they replaced them after that first day with CGI. And apparently, if you've read the books, you'll know that like one of the most used lines in throughout the books is like a line directed at Harry. It's "You have your mother's eyes," who he's supposed to have green eyes, and they originally had Daniel Radcliffe try on some like green contacts, but he had like some sort of an allergic reaction to them, and so they just went with his blue eyes. And then ironically, his the actress is plural, who played his mom throughout the different flashbacks. Lily Potter had didn't even have blue eyes either. Like it was very inconsistent. So like the one like key
Yeah.
detail of like, oh, you have your mother's eyes, like they couldn't get it. They couldn't get it. And I get that's like a nitpick, but I don't know, I just think it's kind of funny more than anything. Yeah, I don't know, those are just two random ones that kind of resonated with me that I thought I'd throw in there. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if I somehow like misremembered those, but yeah.
No, I
um
remember hearing those before. I didn't again, correct me if I'm wrong as well. I also while I was looking up trivia for this too, I heard that they had tried to give Ni- um Emma Watson like false teeth for the role too to try to make it more book accurate, but
mm,
they couldn't understand what she was saying with the prosthetics on, so they eventually dropped the idea about the same time when they tried to give Daniel Radcliffe the prosthetics for the eyes. Um,
yeah.
so again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was another bit of trivia I had also heard out and about as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Because in the book, she is described as having like almost buck teeth until the fourth one when they get magically fixed. But so that would not surprise me. I feel like I have heard that. That is kind of interesting. But I feel like especially for a child actor, that would be kind of like hard to enunciate and like give the performance necessary while having something literally in your mouth. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, I'd struggle with that, and I'm a grown man. Like I don't know. So no, I totally get that. Um, but yeah, if that's everything, do you want to get into the like a little bit about like a comparison between the new show and what we've seen so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to kickstart this one?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're watching, I'll preface this. If you're watching the, or listening, I should say, to the audio only version on Spotify, I would encourage you to watch like the video version, which you can do within the Spotify app. There should be like a little button, I think, if I remember correctly. It's on like the bottom right somewhere. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you're fine the way you are because I'm going to try to put up some comparisons, but I know, and I'm curious what your thoughts on this are as someone who like is more into screenwriting versus the technical side. But because I know a major source of controversy on the show that we saw once the trailer came out was the darker color, like color grading, compared to
Yeah, I
the
noticed
movie.
that.
Yeah, I was just curious, like what you thought about that, like just like as a technical decision.
Well, as a technical decision, it's visually distinct from the films. However, I kind of wish they used it kind of like in certain aspects of the film or not film the show. Like I feel like it would make more sense to have like the darker sepia tones more in like the Muggle world or maybe even in like Slytherin Hall. But I feel like the whimsical, vibrant colors have to be present when you first introduce Hogwarts, just to kind of make it seem like this more surreal, larger than life location. But who knows? Maybe those colors are going to be in there somewhere, and we just haven't seen the shots with those color usages yet. Although I have a feeling that is going to be the main look of the first season, but who knows?
That's
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's my guess. Cause and here's the other thing. I will say if you have access at home to an HBO account, watch the trailer through HBO because there's a lot less compression than watching it on YouTube. I've seen actually on Instagram Reels some videos comparing like a screen recording of the YouTube version and a screen recording of the version through the actual HBO app, and the colors do look a bit more vibrant on the HBO app, which would not surprise me because YouTube is famous for having really terrible compression quality. So I will say it does technically look a little bit more vibrant, but and obviously kind of like what I hinted at earlier, the movie was shot, at least the first one was shot on 35 millimeter, whereas this is entirely digital. Um, so they can get away with using like a darker color palette because that's kind of like the trend now. I don't know if you've noticed like a lot of shows and
Yeah, I have
movies.
noticed that. I believe
Yeah.
it's been referred to as the Netflix lighting in some areas. I have heard that joke before too, because a lot of popular Netflix shows use that type of look as well. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to have it be this whimsical, magical experience, for people who did grow up with the books and, the movies, and then for the next generation of people getting into Harry Potter to just see this, wonderful, world out there that they can go watch and explore.
Well,
So I hope that got the look for the whole thing.
what I hope is we still haven't seen a lot, right? We're working off like 2 minutes of footage. What I hope they do is for the scenes like before he finds out he's a wizard, they keep like a darker color palette to show like he's kind of like miserable or whatever. And then once he like finds out that he's a wizard, he gets to Hogwarts, it like livens up a little bit. I think that would be kind of a cool like visual distinction between him like pre becoming a wizard, well, not becoming, but like finding out he's a wizard and like
Yep.
his horizons expanding versus him, at Hogwarts where he's meant to be, and you can kind of articulate that more with the color palette. But I also will say pretty much most if not all of the interior shots we've had at Hogwarts have been at night. So I will say like I feel like it makes a little more sense because the little we did get a little bit of footage of Harry on the Quidditch pitch, and that did look a lot brighter. Like the whites were very white, like the snow. So I feel like I don't know. I trust them. Mark Mylod is directing most of at least some of the episodes, and he's also I believe one of the showrunners for the show as well. He's responsible for I don't know if you've seen any of this, but the menu, ironically starring Voldemort Ray Fiennes. He
Huh.
did a few episodes of Game of Thrones and some of Succession. I actually got to speak with him, yeah, in the fall of 2024. Yeah, he came and visited my school, and he actually he talked a little bit about the Harry Potter show, like back when we knew like virtually nothing about it. So that was really cool. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, so I'm not gonna like put the audio of that in. But that was really cool. I got to talk to him about it very briefly at my school. So I will just say I think it's in very good hands. I trust him. So I'm excited for that. I know another source of controversy, and this is like more of a nitpick, but did you get like a closer look at how the new brooms look in the show?
I didn't. I did see the new look of the Nimbus 2000. I kind of like them. I kind of like the. I mean, the classic look is amazing, but the more I don't want to say sleeker, modern look. That looks kind of cool too. I like the red accent stripes on it, like the little like bit around
Yeah.
the handle of it.
Yep.
But that was kind of a neat addition. But otherwise, the rest of the brooms, I really didn't get a chance to get a good look at those.
Okay.
But overall, I think I appreciate that they're trying to do slightly different stuff. Like I know the robes are slightly different than the ones in the movies too. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be just fine. But then again, I am a more casual fan of the series.
I mean, my thing is, I love that they took out the footrests that were in a lot of the movie brooms. I'm so glad those are gone because those were not in the books. So I'm glad those are gone. I get that's like probably easier for the actors to have footrests, but like, gosh darn it, it's not accurate. So I'm glad that that's out. And even down to like kind of the set design, like we were talking about. I mean, we haven't seen the exterior of Hogwarts yet. I'm really curious, like, what they're gonna do for that. But from what we've seen of like the inside, they're clearly going for like a different look. I mean, there's literally a tree growing inside of like um, inside of Hogwarts. Like I don't know if that was the Great Hall, but like the main entryway of Hogwarts, there was like literally an interior tree. So they're clearly going for like a different look. But
Yeah.
I think that's like a good thing because I think if you just rehash what was already done in the movies, like there's that kind of defeats half the point of the show. So I'm kind of glad that they're doing it. And J.K. Rowling is executive producing the show. We don't really know to what extent that means. Producing or executive producing, I don't know. She's somehow producing it. So like obviously, it's at least going to be in line with what she wants or like imagines for her books, which that's good. You should, regardless of what your thoughts on J.K. Rowling herself are, you got to admit like at least having the creator as a reference when you're adapting the material, I think is pretty important. So yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I'm glad that I'm glad, and I'm very hopeful. Like I said, if you're watching this, like the day it came out, or in the coming weeks, go to HBO because on Sunday, what is it, the 5th or the 6th of April, they're dropping
April
a
5th. April 5th.
yeah, April 5th, they're dropping a documentary about the making of. It's called Finding Harry, which it makes you think it's about them finding Dominic McLaughlin. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but the new Harry Potter actor. But based on the little like trailer that we got for the documentary, it seems like we're getting actually a lot of like set footage. So I don't think it'll just be about them casting Dominic. So I think that'll be interesting. We don't know how long it is. I would imagine maybe like 30 minutes to an hour, but yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard fan, I'd say check it out. I know I will be. So anyway, that's about all I got for the comparison. We really don't have a lot of footage to go off of, but I just think everyone looks great. I think the costume looks great. The sets look great. Um, and I'm excited. I know I'm going to be seated. So I mean, they can take my money. They've at least convinced me to keep my HBO subscription for the next 10 years. So that's great. They're going to be taking money out of me for 10 years now. So that's great. But you know, did you have any other like last minute thoughts before we kind of wrap it up?
No, I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of changes are going to come for the show compared to the movies. I haven't read the books, so I'm curious to see what more additions are going to be placed into these. Because I know characters and plot lines have been taken out of like in the of the book series to streamline the movie. So I'm interested to see how that goes for a televised version. But yeah, like the same thing. Like I said, I'm more of a casual fan, but I'll definitely at least give it a watch, just see how it goes. But yeah, it should be pretty good.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I think for me, I am a fan of the book, so I'm excited to see they did leave a lot of stuff out from all of them, but I mean, just off the top of my head, in the first book, they left out the midnight duel. They left out the whole Harry getting the dragon back to Charlie Weasley, the Hagrid's dragon. He had to like stay up like past hours and like sneak it up to the top of the astronomy tower, and that was like a whole thing. Yeah, they left out quite a bit. There was like a whole. You remember the scene in the movie where they're like getting to spoiler alert, I guess they're getting to Voldemort in the dungeons, or not the dungeons, but like
Yep.
so you know how there was the keys and
Yep.
chess, and then that was it. In the
Yes. Yeah.
book, there was another one. There was also the
Oh.
idea was each of the like golden trio had like their own thing that they could do. Harry obviously was like the Quidditch one. He could like get the key on the broom. Ron was the chess guy, and then Hermione, the last one, was able to do this like potion one. So there was
Oh.
like a
Okay.
wall of fire, and the only way to get through it is like by brewing like a certain potion with like ingredients that are like laid there, and if you get it wrong, you die by walking through it. So like you need someone more brainy to do it. But there's only enough for one person, and they still decide that Harry's the one to do it. But like Hermione is the one who actually brews it. So I like the way that it gives
Okay.
each of the three of them like some like a their own like room to shine. Um, so yeah, no, I think just little things like that. Like at the end of the day, it's still the same story, obviously, but I think I'm excited for like a more faithful adaptation. Not necessarily replacing the movies, but like just another, another version. And if you don't like it, that's
Yeah,
fine. You don't have to watch it. The movies aren't going anywhere, or the books. So,
exactly.
um,
Exactly. It's the way I view it is kind of like when they reboot Spider-Man every 5 to 10 years. Like you started out with like the Tobey Maguire one, then you get Andrew Garfield. Now we're on Tom Holland. Like whatever one's your favorite, the other ones aren't going anywhere. And then there's a one afterwards. So like you'll still have your favorite thing go on. It's just a new exciting look at a new interpretation of this thing you really like. So
exactly.
that's what I'm curious to see. I'm really curious to see how the show does it and what it's going to bring to the table.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. That's with that being said, do you want to get into our like kind of overall like final thoughts on the movie specifically slash our overall like review?
Absolutely, yeah. For me, I gave this film a 3.5 out of 5. I really did enjoy the movie, but for me, it was more of a pacing issue, like I had mentioned. And I overall, I will preface this. Typically, I don't watch a lot of fantasy films. What I mean by that in this case is more medieval stuff in the sense of having like wizards or knights or anything like that. So this isn't like the type of film I usually watch. This was a great movie, but like I said, it was just the pacing elements that kind of took me out of it. But that's on my end. And what about you?
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. And honestly, I'm kind of the same way. Like I've been trying to get into like Lord of the Rings, for example, for a while. And I am like starting to get more into it, but I feel like in general, like you, I'm more of like a sci-fi action kind of person. That's kind of the
Hmm.
genre I lean into. So I don't know if it's just because I was exposed to Harry Potter at such a young age, or if it's just like maybe it's I don't know. It's still set in like the real world, at least in the 90s. So I don't know if that's like a lighter version of like a magical story, but I mean for me I can't get enough of it. I've been a fan for like a decade now. Um so I mean literally like when I remember when I was first getting into the books with my mom, I remember saying 9-year-old me saying that I loved the movies, but I thought it would made more sense to make a TV show. So in a way, I've been kind of waiting 10 years for this show. I mean, literally. But no, I love the movie. I think they did a great job with the limitations of a theatrical movie in 2001. Um, so I know you're gonna hate on me. I'm sure there will be some other people in the comments who hate on me, but I gave it a 5. I'm like I said in the very beginning, I'm biased. That's why I tried to like kind of explain myself in the beginning. But but yeah, no, I gave it a 5 out of 5, low key. And I'm not gonna
Okay.
apologize. You know what? Yeah,
No, that's fair, man. We all got our things. If we ever do a review on it, I'm gonna be honest. My favorite Batman's Michael Keaton, so I got my biases too.
oh, I'm sure. Oh, I know we're gonna get to that. Don't you worry. We'll
Oh yeah.
that'll
Oh yeah.
happen. That'll happen eventually. Don't you worry.
Yep.
So
Oh man.
I guess we gotta figure out what our like average screening room review would be then. Do you want to go a 4 out of 5?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. So in that case, we'll give this film a 4 out of 5 average review. Yeah, I'd say if somehow you haven't watched, I feel like it's one of those, like kind of like you said, like people have probably at least seen it playing in the background, but if you haven't like actually given it like a go from start to finish, yeah, give it a go, especially before the new show. Um, yeah, that's about all I got to say on that. If you have any last thoughts, Otherwise, you can give the hint for next episode if you'd like.
Yeah. No, and to your point too, while I have said I would prefer if like they just like sped up the pacing a little bit, I absolutely recommend this movie. This is a great intro to the Harry Potter series, and I think it's just a great fun family film. This at least the like definitely the first two of them.
Oh yeah, these
So I
are the
highly
first two are
recommend it if
definitely the most PG of them. Don't show the other ones, maybe,
yeah.
but
But I feel like this is like a great movie for like a family movie night. So I highly recommend this. Um, and in that case, here's a teaser for our next episode.
Me? I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
All right. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful night. We will see you on the next one.